We good? Yeah. Good morning and a very, very warm welcome to you today. Thank you so much for coming along to an in-person event. We're so happy to be able to see people actually here and be able to talk to people. It's a pleasure, and I think we've all felt over the last 18 months that it has been a very strange time talking to people through Teams meetings and doing virtual presentations, and this is a real opportunity for us to engage with you all and understand what's been going on for you, explain where we're at and what we've been up to, and I think the fact I don't have to say, am I on mute before I start, has got to be a massive benefit. And we've got people here who've come from all over the place, really, all over the country, and we're absolutely amazed to have this sort of attendance coming through today. So really, really appreciate the pleasure of having you here, and I can't say that enough. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew Parsons. I'm the UK lead for Professional Vantage. I've been working here in the UK since we started the UK office back in 2005, and I'm going to be leading the presentation this morning, talking you through some of our roadmap, where we're going to be going in the next year, and talking about our modules, what we're up to and how they can benefit you, and then various people from the team are going to be coming along through the day to discuss the various different modules in more detail. So I think just before we start, a little bit of housekeeping, just to update you on some of this. Please, if we could, switch our mobile phones off, and I think that's even more relevant this year. It feels like get rid of those virtual screens, just for the comfort of everybody else. There's no fire drills planned or anything like that, and we have an agenda in your pack, along with some other bits and pieces there, some notepads and things for you to take any notes and use. We are going to be filming the event. You'll see the cameras around here this morning for those people who can't attend, and we did debate quite heavily whether or not this should be a virtual event, and there are so many things going that way, but we felt a hybrid type scenario where we can do an in-person presentation and at the same time provide a video is the way to go. So I hope that's okay with all of you, but please, if you do have any issues with filming, please do let someone from our team know, and we can try and make sure that's covered for you. The agenda for today was going to be that we have our CEO here from Sydney, and I think I need to just explain a little bit of an apology there. Derek was going to be doing a presentation. Unfortunately, he is in hospital. He couldn't make it. Very, very disappointed that he can't be here today. So apologies for anyone who particularly wanted to see his presentation, but he is a very accessible person, and if anybody did want to talk to him directly, he will be quite happy to have a conversation with any of you if that's appropriate. We do have a prize draw today, so in your registration forms, if you could actually fill in that form and hand it back to the registration desk, there's a glass fishbowl sitting on the side of the registration desk. If you could put that in there today, we'll be doing the presentation for that at about 3:45. So if you would like to get a chance to win a night away for two, which we can do now, which is great, and hopefully that will continue, please do put your forms in that bowl, and we'll make sure that you're in the draw for later this afternoon. Feedback is really, really important to us. We'd like to know what your feeling is on the event today, coming along, how it was to actually meet people, talk to people within your sectors and your industries, but also feedback on what we've been talking about, feedback on our roadmap, where we're going with things, and it's the best thing for us in terms of talking to customers and understanding where we go, and it's actually what drives all of our development work moving forward. We do try to respond to our customer base. We bring in new functionality and new modules based on feedback we have, and without that feedback, we don't get the quality of functionality, the issues that you need resolved. So please, if you do have anything like that, put it into the feedback forms. Please do talk to anybody here today from the PA team. And additionally, I think if anyone's got any ideas about the way forward, where they would like to see things going, that's also good feedback for us that we would like to take on board. And indeed, this is going to be quite an interactive session this morning. I have a number of little bits where we're going to be talking and trying to get some conversation from the audience. So please do feel free to step up, put your hand up, ask some questions, and engage with us, and we can make it a very immediate experience. So to do that, we're going to be using a tool called Mentimeter. Some of you probably already know how to use Mentimeter, but we do feel that some people don't feel so good putting their hands up and actually having conversations. So while we're going through the presentations, there will be a Mentimeter code here at the top. So on your mobile devices, if you wanted to, you can actually type in questions. If you go to menti.com, put in that code at the top of the screen there, you can actually put questions which will appear on the screen. So having said turn off your mobile devices, if you would like to put on your mobile devices, please do feel free. But I would encourage personal conversation if that's an easier way to go. So the agenda today, first of all, we've got this session this morning, meet the team, and then after about 10:15, I'll be moving on to our solutions roadmap, which is the understanding of where we're going and when we're likely to see deployment of new modules. And then moving through the coffee break, afterwards my colleague Oliver will be talking about our B4B solution, our payment solution, some of the great new functionality we're bringing in there, and how that can benefit you through upgrades or through deployment if you don't already use B4B. And we do have a very nice lunch, which will be served out in the auditorium there. And following lunch, we'll be going through Ivos, new features, new benefits. Ivos 21 is our new release, and there's some great new things in there. And then some breakouts in the afternoon, including Making Tax Digital and our PA Stream solution, which is something I highly recommend looking at today. And I know we have a high number of people who've registered for the PA Streams presentation. And this is about how we can lever integration, improve processes to move you forward and give you those sort of benefits. And of course, then we have our close and prize giving. So that's our agenda for today. We may have some variation of the time as we go forward, depending on how things go. So this presentation is actually meet the team, but it's about meeting the team, it's about meeting customers, it's about understanding each other, how we can support each other to achieve the outcomes and the goals we want to achieve, and also talking about the challenges that we've all been facing in the last couple of years, and the challenges of business going forward in the current modern environment. So I think it's a little bit of a hybrid. Sorry from Derek, this was where he was going to step in. So I will actually offer my apologies. I am going to try and talk about the same things that he would have talked about today, but he couldn't be here. So I think starting a little bit of a PA story. The time has flown over the years for Professional Vantage, and some of you are very long-term clients who have been with us for many years and as part of that journey. However, we do have quite a few people here who probably haven't been to a conference for Professional Vantage before, some people who don't use any Professional Vantage modules. So just a little bit of a background. We started in 1989. We're an Australian organisation founded in Sydney by Derek Rippengale and Steve Howcroft, and their goal was to start a software independent solution organisation that could deploy solutions to organisations to provide them with benefit using whatever software was actually best at the time. And that was very focused on financial software. They came from a PwC and an auditing background, and they could see the gaps in the market. And as part of that, it became very evident that there were gaps. There were software gaps. People needed extra functionality, new functionality, different ways of doing things that weren't covered by core ERP solutions. And if you think about 1989, there were some great technological innovations that occurred about that time. You know, we had the World Wide Web coming along. Wow, where's that gone? We've ended up in a very different world now, and I'll come to that. We had new Microsoft Office. You know, everybody uses Microsoft Office. How could we do without it? And they're still here, and they're still moving on, and we're benefiting from them. And that's Professional Vantage. The years flew from there. And if you think about some of our software, some of the software that you guys are actually using, 22 years for Ivos and B4B. So Ivos is our procurement solution, B4B, our payment solution. And if you just look at the screens here, we've had quite a large change in the interfaces over the years. So at the top there, we have the original Ivos Orange. I actually personally remember implementing one of these in Darwin in Australia, running on an old Lotus Domino database. B4B version 5, or even before that, Banklinks for Business, had been around since that time as well. But now we're still working in these same environments, but the software has improved, exponentially, we have different interfaces, we have different ways of deploying things, and different requirements from the system. And these solutions have been evolving over those years to still meet the current requirement. And I think that says something about Professional Vantage as well. The fact that we have evolved over these years to continuously look at what people need, to understand businesses, to understand technology, and merge those together to achieve the outcomes that our customers need, and for new customers coming in who are attracted by this very focused approach to technology. And key dates for us, lots of different solutions here. Can I just ask, anyone in the audience was using advanced inquiry back in, say, 2005, 2006? Some of you would, yeah? Great. Still there, still moving on. If you look at Ivos, there's a large number of different components that come out of Ivos over the years. Can I just ask how many people use Ivos in the audience today? Great, good spattering there. So some of you may have been in those very early releases. Some of them, you may have used Vision for Ivos, some may have used the dashboard in Ivos, but it's continually evolving. And I think what we're going to see today is that with Ivos 20 and 21, which are the current releases that are coming out at the moment, we have a significant different interface. We have significant extra capability, bringing in the likes of artificial intelligence and AI around invoice capture and invoice entry, which can improve the speed of things, give you extra efficiency and visibility. So moving on, they're all evolving as products as we come along. And then you have new requirements that pop up in business. So if you take MTD, so the HMRC's requirement to meet their new API to digitally submit our VAT returns, we respond by producing MTD, PA MTD, back in 2018. And perhaps a number of you would have MTD. Can I have another show of hands? Great, thank you very much. So we're meeting these requirements, we're merging them and moving forward and evolving. And we're evolving as a business as well and having to work differently. And we're all having to work differently. And I'm going to expand on that. If we look at fast forward, Fresh Vantage overview, we have two main businesses. We have an Invoice Systems business and we have a Microsoft Dynamics business. We've always had that from the beginning. Very separate streams, but merged in various ways in terms of the technology layers we use and how we can lever from each of those two parts of the business. Most of the people in the room today will be Invoice Systems customers in relation to that business stream, because in the UK we are predominantly about Invoice Systems and where we go with that. We have 7 office locations and we work across 3 countries in Australia, UK and US, although we do have some representation in other areas as well, such as South Africa, France, things like this. 5,250 years of employment service, very long time. I'm sure we all have a number of people in our organisation who've been around for a long time, but we are actually proud of how long we have people serving in Professional Vantage. We have people who have worked for us for many years, 5 years, 10 years, 22 years. Sadly, I perfectly match B4B or Bank Mix for Business. I'm 22 years with Professional Vantage, so that's scary. Perhaps I should be somewhere else, but I'm not. And I'm not because it's a great organisation. We work well together, we work well as a team, and we engage with our customers. And I think that's what's kept me here. It's what keeps a lot of us working for PA. It's the feeling that we engage with people and we try and meet those requirements and we help them as a partner to provide solutions for a very, very complex world. So if we think about that complex world, things creep up on you. So day to day, this week, next week, it doesn't feel like that much changes. But things cumulatively change very, very quickly. We are moving into an area where everything is faster, everything. Our communications are so much better. The way we interact with people in our personal lives and the way we interact with people in a business has accelerated. We have that instantaneous communication. We have social media. We all talk to our friends and our family through that sort of methodology. We have an instantaneous gratification requirement. So sadly, we all in life now expect to be able to immediately get our latte or immediately buy something online and have it delivered perhaps even by this afternoon. And that's sort of personal way of living has actually transferred into the business world. And business has always been fast to adapt, fast to take up new requirements, but people working in an organization are expecting the same sort of instantaneous gratification, the ability to immediately to respond to things, get things done right now, in their business lives as well as in their personal lives. And business systems, business structures, and business processes have had to respond to that to ensure that you are able, as an individual working in the business, to fulfill your role immediately, to have the information you need, to have the data at your fingertips, and to be push notified that something is about to happen, rather than have to go off and chase around and find it. So that speed leads to complexity from a system sense. It leads to complexity in terms of processes, the way you have to adapt your processes quicker to ensure that you're always moving in that direction. And it puts challenges on individuals in terms of how hard they have to work to achieve their goal. They're expected to do more, they're expected to do it immediately, and business teams that were very siloed and individual in the way they work have to interact more effectively. You have to have better ways of communicating between different parts of the organization, and that can be supported by systems, it can be supported by business processes, but it's also a cultural change. We have that challenge of cultural change within the organization. We also have younger generations who are used to this instantaneous type of activity and data access that are coming through our organizations, and they expect it. When we go to employ someone, when we have someone starting in the finance team, they are more likely to expect to have data at their fingertips, to be able to do things immediately. And that's a challenge. There's a cultural challenge in that. There's an employment challenge in that. And organizations can rapidly become irrelevant if they can't get the right people, if they can't actually fulfill that sort of need as well. So it's a complex world in that respect. But it's also a complex world in terms of the challenges we have. Businesses globally are more interacting with each other. We have global supply chains. We have situations where you need to be able to do something as effectively in Australia as in the UK within the same couple of minutes. You need to have everything simultaneously available, simultaneously acting together to achieve something. Your business cannot work necessarily if you're a global business. But I think that goes just as much for someone who has offices in New York and in London and Sydney, and we work with Sydney obviously very closely, as it does for someone in the last 18 months working in London or working maybe from their back bedroom in Coventry or wherever it may be. So that complexity has increased not only through the supply chains, through the interactions that people have globally in the way business works, but also in terms of how we work as teams, how we can communicate together, how we can collaborate, and how we can provide access to the things we need, the data we need, and the information we need, so that you can work on the business rather than working in the business. And I think that's really important. So that complexity, I think, leads to a question. If you look at where you're going in next year, individual requirements in your role may have differed from where they were 18 months ago, 2 years ago. So thinking about the role, this is a Menti, by the way, so if you would like your question or thought to pop up here, please do. Just type in that code and we can have those coming on from the screen. That would be quite nice. But I think just, can I ask, anyone would volunteer a focus for their role? And probably the majority of you are from the finance teams, but some of you would be from IT and operations and things like this. So would anyone like to volunteer a focus for their particular role next year or so? Any question? Thank you.
Just improving our purchase-to-pay system because we don't have optical imaging for our invoicing.
Uh-huh.
And we use PDFs and things.
Quite manual type processes?
Yeah, so we just need to improve that efficiency, really.
Cool, okay. And is that driven through just time saving? Is it automation? Is there a particular focus for that?
It's time saving and obviously trying to get the authorizations of invoices done.
Okay, so segregations of roles, controls.
Yeah, rather than PDFs.
Okay, and that's coming from a role in finance or procurement or
Finance.
Finance, right. Thank you. That's a perfect sort of example. So that's a systems-based goal that you have. Thank you. Any other thoughts on that? Thank you.
Putting on some 6.1, so upgrading to 6.4, moving to the cloud, and upgrading the Vantage systems to match the new system.
Okay, so there's an infrastructure goal there to move your infrastructure into the cloud, benefit from some of those things, and at the same time, maybe new functionality coming out of it. Okay, that's a good one, thank you. So we have here consolidation of processes and streamlining programs. So very relevant. We don't want to be doing things that are irrelevant. We don't want to be doing things that we don't have to do. So knocking grey space out of our processes and finding better ways to achieve that more efficiently and move them forward. So, don't know, any more thoughts before I move on? Nope. Okay. I'm sure you all have some very deep thoughts there. So hopefully at the end of the day, we will have improved some of those. But the ones we have, thank you very much, they were good ideas. So if we think about the challenges we have internal challenges and we have external challenges. And I think if we look at the internal challenges, some of the things I have here are very related to those two examples that we just had in terms of process efficiency, in terms of upgrades and infrastructure. And I think if we look at risk and compliance, this is a big one. You know, there are always risks in a business. There are always requirements for compliance. But going back to what I was saying earlier, things have speeded up. We have quicker regulatory change. We have quicker situations that we need to respond to. And compliance and risk very much sit in that space. We need to be able to meet our compliance requirements. We need to have immediate access to information that potentially in the past would have taken us a while to surface out of the system. And we need to be able to capture real-time data and information across the organization that could be relevant to that. And I think as finance teams, one of the important things is that we are no longer just a finance team. There is a requirement for finance teams to actually work across the entire business. You understand the accounts, you work with the figures, but more and more so, finance is actually an area of control. It's an area of understanding. The systems link ultimately to finance, and you need to have data, an immediacy of data, in your systems that will help you to answer these questions, to respond to risks and changes more quickly, to be able to have at your fingertips that sort of information. And that means that we need to have systems linked up better. We need to have better, universal, real-time information to help us respond to these challenges that we see there. And that's not just for risk and compliance, it's for other areas in the business which finance have a bearing upon. So one of the important things we need to look at is unified access to data. We don't want to have systems working in silos. So we need to remove silos of systems in the same way as we're removing silos between teams. Teams are all cross-working, they're interdependent upon each other, and the finance team very much is a pivot, which everyone else moves around and quite often helps to resolve problems, but also can identify problems in the business, be it operational, be it something related to supply chain that could be affecting your finances. So having silos of business systems, your CRM system, your inventory system, your procurement system, your finance system, your operational work order system, whatever it may be, your payroll systems, all of these things have to be linked together. We have to have tight, immediate, real-time integration. We need to have good visualization and visibility of information, but we also want to be levering technologies that are new, ways of actually having systems recommend what could be a possible next best action. We need to have a system that could potentially identify problems earlier and quicker, allowing you to respond more quickly and potentially notifying you of that. So it's a proactive notification rather than a passive retrospective examination of data, which you may have needed to combine from multiple systems to have got to that point. So systems need to be unified. We need to look at ways of doing this. And at the same time, this is not the world of unified ERPs. It used to be that we have this sort of goal of everything being in one system. If you look at the likes of some of the large Oracle, SAP type solutions, very much you can move to one large system, but actually that doesn't give you flexibility. It means you don't have a way of quickly benefiting from new functionality that comes along from something new. So if you've got a new CRM capability or a new piece of finance software that you can use that can give you benefit in one area, you don't want to have a situation where you've got to rip the whole thing out. You want to be able to click and drop new pieces of system functionality in, best of breed in particular areas, into your solution, but at the same time have them still seamlessly talk together. And that's a challenge. When you swap and drop like that, you need to have a layer that will allow it to talk to each other. And that's where integration, unification, and real-time data comes in. And I think we'll talk about that a lot going into our PA Stream session later as to how we can actually help you to achieve that goal. If you look at separation of duties, workflow, lack of delegated authority, I think, sorry, I missed your name, but the lady at the front here, she was talking about approvals, workflow, bringing in better delegation, better ways of working in that respect. We're all used to sitting in an office and we can talk to each other. So if you need to have something signed off and it's not actually happening, someone has failed to do that, we could stand up, we could walk across to another pod and have a chat with someone. And that's been really hard in the last 18 months. That's not the way we've been working. So it's, let's arrange a Teams call, let's have a chat that way. But the point is, if systems can be set up to allow for the controls, for the notifications, to allow for systems-generated notifications, that means that things do get done. And when they don't get done, the system could be telling you that that's not been done and allowing for the correct follow-up processes to occur. So in supporting segregation of duty, in supporting delegation of authority and controls, we need to have systems that will help work in the new working environment. I hate the fact it's sort of a new world, but it sort of is. I think people have realized that we can work remotely, we can be more independent personally, but we still need to sit there and achieve the right things from a business sense. And systems definitely can support that. And there's been this huge rush of organizations talking about new systems, new automations, new efficiencies in that respect. And organizations that think they're already there haven't been. I think what it's exposed is that we think that we could remote into a session. We think that we could access system A or system B. But that hasn't actually been the case. Some, yes, definitely. But others, no. And we're actually all somewhere in the middle. So we've had to improve the way we access those systems and the way that we can have alerts generated. And suddenly, we want to have everything at our fingertips wherever we're sitting. So that's easy, and you can democratize and open up systems to access. But then you've still got the challenge of delegation of roles, segregation of duty. You still have to have the ability to control who does what, when, and where. And that's a challenge in itself. So do we open it all up, give universal access, or do we actually control the access and then risk the fact that we're not getting the right people with the right information in the way that works? So again, it's that integration of systems, making sure you have processes and strong controls that meet your business but are flexible to allow you to move quickly and achieve things in a new environment. So that all comes back down to that. Process improvement, adopting to change. So if we then think about external pressures. Oh, sorry, I missed a very important one here. Workforce talent. So I actually alluded to some of this before. It's been a challenge to meet new people's expectations come into a business when you have old systems and they can't easily see what they need to do and they don't have the right processes that are in place. Telling people how a process works typically would have been, we'll have an indoctrination. You come and sit down. Well, that's a bad word, indoctrination. We'll have an introduction. I don't think I was indoctrinated into that. But we'll come and sit down, we'll talk you through the process, and we'll have a look at this spreadsheet, and we'll have a look at this spreadsheet, and I calculate this, and then I go into this system and enter some data, and then maybe Tom over there, they then have to approve it, and you have to go and nudge him, maybe, if he hasn't done it. And then when that's happened, I'll go into another system to trigger X, and that will happen. That's the way we sort of work. But that's been very hard in the last 18 months, and it's shown the weaknesses in those processes. And at the same time, we're trying to find new talent, people coming in who are used to this immediacy of data, their social media, their Facebook, whatever, Instagram. People want to see everything there, and you want systems that support those processes. You want to have an ability to say, the system will work through the process for you. You need to understand the top level, but then it will just sort of help you, nudge you in the right direction. So supporting new talent, supporting the ability to bring people in, and at the same time, we've been losing talent who have been with the business for years. They know the processes, they move on. Suddenly, we don't know how process X worked in the system. We don't know what Tom's spreadsheet did in the background. We've got 22 sheets, we've got thousands of calculations, and something is happening there, but that person has moved on for whatever reason, and they have been unable now to effectively transfer that information. So that's not a system, that's not an automation, that's personal knowledge. And personal knowledge is really, really important to a business, but it should be about thinking about where they're going, doing operational control, understanding what they're doing. It shouldn't be about, I'm the person who controls spreadsheet X. It should be about, I'm the person who does this role, and I'm trying to achieve something from that, not how I do it. So we need to have systems that support that. So externally, it's been crazy. It's been a unique 18 months, but business is always unique. Every year is different, and the fact that I haven't stood up here and done a presentation for 2 years, it's like, and I'm very rusty, so apologies for that. But it is scary. It's been impact on margins, on execution, on growth. How do we do things when we haven't got cash flow? How do we do things when logistics have been a challenge, when we haven't got people accessing systems, when we haven't got the people because they've all been furloughed? All of these things have been affected by the terrible C word, which I don't want to talk about today. But the point is it does have an impact, and it's exposed the weaknesses in those processes. So how we deal with other organizations is just as important as how we deal internally, and it's been additional work for teams to deal with extra stuff internally caused by the situation that we've all been in, beyond their normal roles. So if you think about the finance team, probably there's a crossover with payroll, there's a crossover with expenses, there's a crossover with new health and safety and regulations. It just typically is the case. HR, finance, they work closely together in some ways. So you've had to do more than you usually do. At the same time, you've had less systems access, and at the same time, we're working through personal challenges. So we have to look at how that has affected our relationships with external customers. Have we satisfied those customers? And I know from a professional Vantage point of view, we've tried hard to support our customers, to be responsive to the needs of people in the last 18 months, to try and do things that needed to be done quickly and efficiently. But it's still been a challenge because people haven't been available, people have been doing things remotely, people have had different requirements. Suddenly, things are popping up that haven't been there before. I now can't access my B4B solution in a particular format from wherever I'm working, this sort of thing. And I think what you're going to see from our roadmap is that we're really trying to respond to that. And we already had pathways there, but they're being accelerated to make sure that we're trying to address these challenges and make it easy to do the things you do every day because you've got other things to be looking at as well. We've had global financial instability. We've had cash flow issues. Money is needed in order to run your business. And I know some of businesses have been exceptionally challenged in the last couple of years. And it's just great that we're all moving forward and continuing. But if you think about cash flow, it's the lifeblood of our business. And without cash flow, you can't actually execute what you need to do. So people are looking at new infrastructure capabilities to actually potentially move from capital expenditure around your systems and particularly your hardware, your servers, and move it into a more cash flow based example. And that comes back to this gentleman's comment here, looking at the cloud. We're all looking at that. And what is the cloud? It could be many things to many people. But fundamentally, moving your infrastructure away from locally hosted servers, heavily dependent on your IT team, high cost for upgrade around that, things like that. They're capital expenditure, they hit your cash flow, and they have to occur because operating systems move on. Systems need new support for new technology. So cloud infrastructure offers a way forward to potentially move to subscription licenses, the ability to actually move that more into a P&L type example rather than a capital example. So people are looking at that benefit. And at the same time, that can help you in terms of remote access, immediacy of visibility around systems, and the ability to merge them together. So that's a really important focus that we've had in the last 18 months. Logistics and supply chain issues. Supply chain, we're all talking about that at the moment. I'm glad you were all able to get here today. But if you look at the challenges there are ways of improving things like that. If you look at short-term demand planning, if you look at how you actually have systems predicting where things will be and when they're needed so that you can actually plan better up front, that's a very good example of automation. It's an example where AI comes into play quite often. We have clients who are looking at situations where they want to be able to predict better when things are going to be needed in order to then arrange the right logistics for transportation, etc. So everything is interlinked, and it all comes down to systems. It all comes down ultimately to how much money we're making or how we're achieving our goal as an organisation, be it charitable, be it not-for-profit, or whatever that may be. And without looking at how systems can support that and moving and adopting them, we cannot achieve what we want to do. So if we think about our key focus areas, and I think this is our key focus areas, personally, Professional Vantage, but I think it's also likely to be some of your focus areas. Digitisation, automation, very, very, very important. So the finance team needs to be able to understand the strategy for transformation and automation, because it will ultimately affect the finance systems and the way they work, but they need to be able to understand the entire business. So it's not just about their silo. It's about understanding how we can automate our business processes in procurement or in our payment system or in our operational systems, how they can all integrate together, how we can take the make work out of our business processes as a team, how we can achieve better recommendations coming from the system and make sure that we can achieve a transformative effect. We have to look at integration. That can only be done through integration. We have to have our systems and silos removed and talking together, and the demand for data and insights has so much increased. Who here has some form of dashboard or visualization, some sort of graph grid report that they can use? Okay. Who here would like to have some sort of visualization, real-time data graph? Okay, spattering of both. I think it's a journey. Systems increasingly bring in this sort of thing, but we all necessarily don't see it until we see it. So having real-time data makes a big difference. And when I say real-time, I really do mean real-time. It's the ability to see exactly what's happening anywhere in the business at any time and respond quicker to that. So integration is a key backbone. And I think for us, historically and now, some systems integration is a really important thing, where we're looking at our tools, where we're looking at our solutions in and around finance. Professional Vantage as an organisation have always been fully focused on the integration at a deep level. So all of our tools have direct database level integration with some systems to allow that real-time access and capability. However, we're also looking at ways that we can improve interaction and integration between some systems and other solutions, between our solutions and other solutions, to provide this digital automated backbone. And I think cloud comes into this as well. And part of our roadmap is obviously working more effectively with a situation where Infor has moved some systems into the cloud. If you're sitting in the Infor vendor cloud or maybe one of your partners' integration clouds, we need to be able to talk to that effectively, but still maintain that deep immediacy that we've always been able to provide. So a challenge for us has been looking at how we can give you the great Professional Vantage capabilities that we know that you love at the same time as supporting this move into the cloud. And you'll see how we can do that and how we plan to do that through our roadmap. We need to be adaptable. We need to understand how being able to flex your systems is important. Heavy, massive upgrades are not the way to go. We want easy, quick upgrades. We want to be able to provide new functionality quickly and easily for you. We want to be able to implement processes easily. If you're clicking, dropping new parts of solutions in or upgrading some systems, we need to be able to adapt to that and meet your need for quick adaptation and quick flexibility. But your systems need to be able to scale. You need to have a situation where if you add a new business unit, If you change your business processes, you can very simply change those processes in the system without some sort of monolithic change or upgrade. Because the days of that really are over. And if we think of the cloud, we're looking at the ability to have everything upgraded at once. We want it to happen automatically. Things like this. We don't want to necessarily be affected as a business from that. We want it to just happen. So cloud helps to offer that sort of thing, but also you need a backbone, an integration backbone, that will allow for that to occur without having to then rebuild your integrations. So if you think about how many people here have data being imported into some systems through SSC or through transfer desk or spreadsheets. Great. If you change the way that occurs, does that mean you rebuild spreadsheets? Does it mean you have to rework your integrations? You have to think about this system produces data that's changed over here. I now need to remap it. Those are big tasks. They put you off change. They put you off taking on new capabilities that can lead to adaptation and lead to flexibility and scalability. So we want ways of being able to do that without having to make that change. We want strong backbones that link well together with a flexible ability to change. And when we upgrade, we want things to be seamless. We want it to occur without giving us that pain, which defocuses us from the things we need to achieve in the business. So all of these things are key focus areas for you guys, I would think, as organizations, but for us as well, in terms of how we can provide solutions to achieve that. So execution of that, how do we go about it? It feels like it's a big task to take this on. We all like to think that we're adaptable. We all like to think it's easy to achieve these things. However, we need to have a plan. We need to look at how it can be done. So I think there are key areas here that are really important in that. We need, first of all, to understand the wider business. So as a finance team, we don't want to look at our little silo about how effectively the payroll gets paid or how effectively our TBs get generated. We need to look at how we affect the wider business. What information is not available to us that could allow us to make those better decisions? We need to understand it and think about what would be better, how we could achieve something different, what's missing in our information, and what things are we being asked for that we can't provide? You know, is there something that someone every day is having to answer that means they go and look in multiple systems, but they don't spend time doing what they should be doing? So is there a better way of getting that information? Can it be made visible to us? So understanding the wider business needs, the goals of the business, operational needs, what are we trying to achieve in the coming year? We all do it. We all need to do it. However, thinking structurally about that, putting a list down and thinking, I need this, I need that, I would like to have this information visible to me, I would like some immediacy here that I'm not having. Put that down. Think about it. Codify it so that you can then think about how that plans forward for your systems and the way you work. Identify points of weakness. So we need to identify where systems are lacking, where our processes are lacking. And typically we all sort of know where that is. You know, there are things that we do every day. I'm sure my colleague Peter, who you'll probably meet, you know, is it back there? He would look at some ways around how we do our timesheets and billing. I'm acknowledging there's weaknesses in our process. It works, but we do it every day and we put up with it. But knowing that's the problem is something that we need to do. We need to think, okay, how do we address that? And just not getting on with our busy lives and not looking at these things. We need to plan for areas of weakness. And then we can all improve, but we can improve incrementally, just effectively as we can improve radically. So if you take on a digital transformation project where you want to bring in significant change to the business, we want to implement better backbones, etc., that could be a radical change. You could be taking on brand new technology, brand new software that would allow you to make radical change. So taking my AI example, you know, if you can start bringing in predictive models, if you can start identifying problems before they happen, having recommendations and alerts, things like that, they can be radical changes. And they can allow you to do radical things. You can take on new business models. You can actually be first movers in markets because you aren't having to do these things that you make work every day doing, and you're able to think about ways forward and you can be quicker, more responsive, more scalable. That's radical change, but it's a big project. You've got to think about how that can occur. But it's just as effective looking at incremental change, the ability to add small process changes which will move you in this direction, take your current landscape, add something new in this area, that area, etc., as long as you have identified the points of weakness and the overall understanding of the business and the goals that you have and what you wish to achieve. So once you've got that goal in mind, adding small little bits and incremental change is just as effective. It's just it takes a little longer, but it can be easier culturally. Some organizations, though, want to embrace the radical jump ahead of the game and move to something entirely different. But you can do it both ways. But then you need to plan which method you're going to follow. And we like to support both. We have options to help you with radical change, PA streams, and we have lots of solutions that can give you incremental benefit around your integration and the way we work. Visibility, capabilities, etc. So another question, anyone who wants to type anything up here. If you took one key work package in the next 12 months, what would it be? And who here would have an appetite for radical change? Is there anyone here who would love to embrace large transformation projects, to look at automation, to improve things? If a perfect world existed, the money existed, the effort existed. One or two? Great. And you'll probably, that's great, and you're probably the outliers in the room, but generally you're going to find that. Some people don't have that sort of approach. However, others would take incremental change. I think, would anyone here not agree there are incremental changes they can make to improve things? Great. Glad to see. I don't know what I'd argue if someone actually said no. But we would all like to improve. So if we look at work packages, connecting work orders to some systems and IPOs, that's a really good one. Procurement, that may be missing procurement. You don't have any automated procurement at all. Or it may be that you actually have some areas of procurement and you want to improve it, such as adding invoices.
Also bank recs and bank reconciliation modules.
Brilliant. That's really good. It's an incremental change. It's allowing for a small process that's been there for a while, but to use it better. Are you currently manual with your spreadsheet based? Okay. Great. So adding that small piece of functionality, it could improve your efficiency, reduce the time it takes to do it every day.
It's matched and you've just got your outstanding items rather than a spreadsheet.
Perfect. And it's all visible in one place, and it's systemized and audible. Yeah. So that's a really good example of incremental change. Procurement, that could be a big one. It could be just you want better workflow, better delegation. It could be you want better access for end users, so they have immediacy in the way they select their procurement activities, and they want something that looks like they're on Amazon, or that looks like they're more as they used to in their own personal lives for raising procurement. And I think we'll see some of that in Ivos 21, which is wonderful. Supplier integration, client visibility via web and app. So the ability for suppliers to be able to see what's going on in the web or in the app, getting okay, very specific there, getting rid of V1 invoice capture. So that's a document management solution. It's used quite often for capturing invoices and passing it into procurement. I won't go into precisely the issue with V1, but that's a good goal if there's a challenge there that's costing you time and effort. A supplier portal, automated cash flow projections, absolutely. The ability to just step into the day, and it's all there for you, have it visible, have it surfaced using that technology, and have it immediate, real time. Exactly what's happening at this moment in time without having to wait or ask for other systems to provide the information that you then have to bring together. More secure supplier payments, security. And I didn't talk about this earlier. Security is a huge one. We all have fraud, we all have issues with cybercrime. And I think actually, if you look at people working remotely, people having to access systems more broadly from other areas, there's been increased opportunity for this. We've all read about it in the media. You have to actually open things up to allow access, but you have more opportunity for that sort of cybercrime and that sort of situation. So therefore, providing better security around payments particularly, the ability to use SFTP and encryption, direct submission to bank portals and things, really, really important. And anyone attending the B4B session later, well, actually it's a mainstream, you'll see it. We're talking very much about that. Forecasting tool, without using spreadsheets, these are all really good examples of immediacy, visualization, access to data, and incremental change. But add them all up, you get radical change. But at the same time, you could look at something that could provide brand new capabilities. So if we think about what that means, what we're trying to achieve there ultimately is the ability to make better decisions and act faster. So we need to be able to see the information and have it at our fingertips to make the decisions, make those decisions quicker so that we can respond to situations better, we can scale better, and we can be the leader. We can be ahead of our game in whatever industry we're in. We can be thought leaders as well as just doing the things we do as a business. And I think that's what today is about. Incremental change, it's about automation, it's about transformation. And how do we do that? We do it through providing different solutions from Professional Vantage. We like to think they're all simple to use, they've all got smarts in them that help you and benefit you, and they're intuitive to use. So we have cash management, which is from our sort of categorization, so our B4B payments and remittances module. Some of you will be using that. Who here uses B4B for payments? Yep, excellent. We have bank reconciliation automation, which you'll be happy to see, I'm sure. And we've now got a great new web interface you're going to be seeing today, so that's really nice. We've got billing and credit control, cash flow, making sure we get cash in the door, really important. And in recent times, DSO has probably been an issue for many of us. So the ability to chase debt, communicate with your customers better, to make sure money is coming in, very, very important, and how we bill. Automation of billing and doing it from wherever, doing it from my bedroom, making sure it happens, having automated processes around it with our CSB solution. Spend control, Ivos, Ivos procurement, expenses, and intelligent invoice capture using AI to knock the inefficiencies out of capturing invoices and allowing us to do activities quicker. And then specialist solutions such as advanced inquiry, MTD for meeting the HMRC's requirements, process automation, intelligent invoice capture, part of Ivos, and PAE sign, which is a module that many of you probably have not seen, which is our solution around automated document control, signature management, the ability to send documents for signature, having automated workflow packages, and that sort of thing. So that's totally unfinance related. It's an extension of the abilities of the whole organization to do that. Better collaboration, better ways of working remotely. And then we have event intelligence, we have backbone integration, automation, and some really clever stuff we can do with PA streams around transformation across all your business systems, which could be good. So you're in the right place if you want any of these things. You're in the right place because you're all valued customers of ours or potential customers of ours. We like to work as a partner with our customers. We like to understand your problems, and we like to drive those solutions in a way that works for you in collaboration. And if you look at percentages in the room here, just roughly, obviously we've had some dropouts and people not able to attend today, so maybe these stats are slightly out. But we have a large proportion of people using B4B. PAMTD is obviously quite new, but everyone had a regulatory drive to get there, so that's growing quickly. And then various other solutions down. But the point is, it's still different for different customers. Some people will use one, not the other, some have many. But if you think about that incremental change, adding some of these things in can help you move incrementally towards better automation and visibility. They can make ultimately a radical change, or maybe there's a bar missing here, which could be over at the end, which is PA streams. That could be radical change in one go. Implement something that could really change your business, and that will be interesting. But you're in the right place to look at this stuff, and that's what we want to work with you to do, and it's what we've always done. It's what PA pride ourselves on, the ability to adapt to technology, adapt to business requirements, and to adapt for our clients to move forward and work in collaboration with you. So I'd like to introduce some people who maybe some people know here, but we felt that no one really has seen the global team. There are a few people who are really important in PA that have a bearing on what we do and what people see coming from us. So just very quickly, a quick video, a few little snippets from our team in Sydney, just to introduce some people who you may or may not know.
Good morning, my name is Neil Richardson and I'm the business lead for our Sun Systems companion software. Normally, I'd be in the room with you today, but as you can see, I'm actually in Sydney, which is where I'm based. We've just come out of a 100-day lockdown. I've not had a chance to have a haircut, and international travel is just not on the agenda. So I'm sorry I'm missing the day. I look forward to meeting you all another time, and thank you for coming.
Hi everybody, my name's David Bowyer and I work in the QA and support teams. I'm part of a group of 14 developers, QA consultants and support consultants, and we work on the applications that many of you know and have been involved in. B4B, Collect, CSB, Bankrec and many others. I hope you enjoy the conference and have a wonderful experience. Bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Paul Harrington. I'm the Software Development Manager here at Professional Vantage, and it is my team that brings you the wonderful applications like Ivos, Bankrec, B4B and MTD. But of course we couldn't do that without the feedback we get from yourselves and the consulting team. I hope you enjoy being together today and have a great day enabled by the Professional Advantage team. Thank you.
My name is Ben and I am the Delphi team leader at Professional Advantage. I work on cash desk applications mostly, and I help customers by solving the curly problems that can't be solved via the help desk. Hope you enjoy the rest of your conference.
Hi everyone, my name is Lisa Bassel and I'm the Client Services and Operations Manager based in Sydney. My role is to monitor, coordinate and communicate information across our internal teams. So I'm the go-to person for the UK for anything to do with escalation of support calls, scheduling of new bank formats and other software development, software orders and maintenance renewals, license keys and other general inquiries. I hope you all enjoy the customer conference today. Bye.
So just a few faces. We just realised that these people have been around for years, and they are so passionate about what they do, but you guys don't get to see them here in the UK. Other customers in Australia do. So we thought that was interesting, and I think just to comment on Lisa, you know, she is the biggest advocate of process improvement, process enhancement, making sure things happen for customers in the way they should. And that's quite often my challenge as well, making sure that things happen from a Sydney sense. And they're all great. They all help. They all respond to what you need. And that's where we escalate to. So thought that was important. But I'd also just like to quickly introduce the PA team here in the UK, for those of you who don't know them, because I know there's some people who haven't been here before. So first of all, I think this is Ali over here, account management. Just some faces. They're all going to be around today. Please do grab them at any time for a conversation. And Nikki, probably most of you know, manages our channel partner and general account relationships. We have Steph in the middle there, account management, helping you with day-to-day activities. Peter, project management, project office, the person who wrangles consultants, wrangles services for you to make sure things happen. We've then got Ollie, I think. Is it Ollie? Yeah. Oliver, long-term consultant, working particularly on B4B, cash test products, a little bit of IPOS. John Banks, here, technical consultancy, service team management. And then Guy, on support. You probably all talk to Guy quite regularly. Well, hopefully not actually, but on support, helping you with your day-to-day queries. And in fact, the whole consultant team do work on support as well. And then finally, I think at the back there, Ram, more recently joined us on the account management side, and you'll be hearing from him indeed later. So please do feel free to jab anybody like me included, and we're happy to talk and help you. And anything we can't help you with today, we'll definitely help you with afterwards and follow up on. So thanks very much for that. And that brings me to our roadmap. So just looking at time here, make sure I'm running roughly right, 10:40-ish. So I had to adapt that slightly because Derek wasn't here. So hopefully timing is okay. So really important to us, explaining where we're going, understanding what we need to do, telling you where we're going with our product. And we have really good news around where some of our products are going and what we want to do. We're very excited today to be talking about this. And actually, it's been so long since we've had a conference, the ability to talk face-to-face, but also drivers externally around different capabilities in the cloud, in AI, and requirements that have accelerated in the last 18 months people requiring access capabilities, interface capabilities that weren't there before, have given us an opportunity to really stretch our legs and look at how we can better improve to give you these things. So what I'm going to do here is talk through the solutions roadmap, try to explain where we're going, and please, through this, I really would like questions. If anyone really is interested in a particular module, what we're going to do with it, just put up your hand. So this is our roadmap for 21-22. I have to start with a disclaimer. So product development is always complex. We have every intention of following the roadmap, as you would expect. Timeframes sometimes differ. We have challenges, things pop up. We may have to respond to immediate customer requirements, which can affect our development timeframes. So we have to have a disclaimer, but we do have every intention of following the path that we're planning for. There are some products, and I think to start with, no plans. And when I say no plans, that's not necessarily a negative, because some of these products just do what they do, and they work really well. But more than anything, this is about the cloud scenario. So some of you would be looking towards moving your products, some systems products, from an on-premise hosting into a partner-hosted environment or an external hosting to provide you that remote access and remove it from your infrastructure. Others would be looking at the Infor vendor cloud and the very imminent possibilities of moving your solution in that direction, running in the Infor Zone cloud environment. So we are looking towards our products supporting these things, but there are some that we're not going to be looking at for the Infor vendor cloud. We need to be clear on that. Just because we feel there are other ways of doing it, there are better ways of doing it in some respects, using Infor Zone technology. So I think it was important to list these first, just to get these out. So first of all, we've got Consolidations on there. So some of you in the room would be using Consolidations. It's our tool for aggregating data across ledgers. There are no plans to end of life Consolidations, but we will be looking to continue support on-premise or in a privately hosted environment for the moment. We're not looking to enhance it towards the Infor Cloud deployment. It's a very database level activity, and moving that into the vendor cloud would be something that we don't think is appropriate to do. So Consolidations on-premise, Consolidations running in a hosted environment, absolutely fine. For the moment, continuing support at a basic support level. We're not looking to enhance it because it does well what it does, but we're not moving forward. However, that also goes for receipting and intercompany. Now, my guess is there's nobody in the room using receipting or intercompany. Is that a good guess? Yes, okay. So these two modules have been around for a long time, but they are pretty much deployed in our Australian home region. They're low number of users, and it's not something we felt was appropriate to move into the cloud, again, into the Infor vendor cloud. So these are sort of moving towards end of life. And then we do have ePay, which is an older payment solution that we have in our portfolio. All of the functionality of ePay is now available in B4B, which is a much more capable solution, alongside eRemit, which was the remittancing capability around those payments. That's available in B4B as a single solution. So they are end of life. They're on support sort of no upgrades in terms of new functionality. So you will always have that situation with some software, and partly it's to do with underlying operating systems as well. So does anyone in the room have ePay? No? Anyone here still use? You do have ePay? Okay. Are you aware of the B4B? Right, okay, so that's something we'll be looking at, I expect. Right, it's on the verge of... Cool, great. So those are still there for the moment, but once they're all sort of moved on to B4B, those products obviously won't be moving forward. So I felt it's important just to talk about those up front. However, we have a great roadmap for all of our other solutions in terms of where we're going and bringing things forward. And we've broken our roadmap into a number of steps, as you have to do, to achieve these goals. And the first step that we're looking at is web delivery. So a lot of our tools have historically been desktop-based or server-based, so you install locally on the machine for anyone who needs to use the solution, or it's installed on a Citrix or terminal server or some sort of remote deployment for the server, which means you do have to have access to those servers. Now, obviously that works well if you're on a network, if you're within the domain, but it does mean you've got individual deployments to do. It does mean you've got to manage those individual deployments. So web deployment is a much better option in general. It also is a more modern interface in terms of people being desirous of these web interfaces. It's what we see day to day on our mobile phones. We want web interfaces. So we've been moderately slow, I will confess, in bringing out web delivery in some of our solutions. But partly that's because they've been very much focused on the finance team. They're within the area of the Sun systems. We've found that people are happy in that environment, but that doesn't remove the fact we need to move to web now. And we are working on this. So there's two different processes we're using. Some solutions have already been web. Ipos, for example, has pretty much been a web delivery. However, we have some that we're working on full native browser deployment. So for B4B, we have a web layer for B4B, meaning you can do your day-to-day activities within the web. However, it did lack some capabilities in terms of the administration functions, some little bits that you couldn't do in the web area, and you had to have an underlying desktop implementation to do that. So we're now actually bringing in all of the administration functions, all of the missing bits and pieces that are more sort of administrative level into the B4B interface in the web as a full native browser. So that is, it can all be deployed in the web, and you'll be seeing some of that later. So that's web native. We have a new release of bank reconciliation as a web native client. So it's designed for the web from the bottom up and can be deployed fully in that way. So you don't need to have a desktop deployment anywhere. And Ipos obviously has had web deployment. However, we've been adding extra functionality in there. So there's now more administrative function moving into the web. There's more capability around administration, things like contracts in the web. And part of that has also been a big underlying thing for Ipos, which is Silverlight. So is anyone here aware of Microsoft Silverlight? Mm-hmm. So in our old versions of Ipos, we had a dependency in the area of contracts and some web-based administration for using Microsoft Silverlight. And Microsoft Silverlight was available in Microsoft IE as the browser, but that is now being discontinued. It can't be supported in Edge. We cannot use it on Chrome and other browsers and things like this. So a big drive for us was to update Ipos in version 20, version 21, to remove the dependency on Silverlight, meaning you can use it truly across all browsers, in Chrome if you wish to, and have all of the contract functionality and the administration functions that were in Silverlight available to you. So we've been working to do that, and we've done that now with Ipos 21. Intelligent invoice capture is all web coming in to Ipos 21, and PAMTD, historically, up to now, has been a desktop deployment, but people need to do this from anywhere. We don't want to have VPNs to connect up to our database internally. We want true geo-independence, and the ability to do that depends on the web. So PAMTD, there will be releases coming on our website, full native browser, to give you PAMTD capability. There are then other solutions that we've had in our portfolio that we need to move to the web, but the speed and the expediency to get that done means that due to the complexity of the products, full native deployment will take a while. So what we've done is actually brought forward another program to deploy these on the web using a piece of technology called Thinfinity. So Thinfinity is a tool that allows us to take a desktop environment, deploy it into the web, very little change to the functionality at all, using an extra layer in the middle. So it's a full web deployment, but it's not natively written in the web. It's using the underlying desktop code in the web. And we've done a lot of due diligence on this software. We're partnering up with them to achieve the goal for some of these other solutions. And anyone wants more information on Thinfinity, it's very openly available. It comes out of large banking solutions, areas where they have very old systems they want to bring forward quickly, and that's where Thinfinity has come from. So we're using that capability to deploy collect, contract service billing, Ipos admin, and this to me is a big one. So Ipos is web-based, but we have an admin console that allows you to actually configure and control. Anyone using Ipos is probably aware of that. We want to be able to deploy that in the web so that you can administer it from anywhere as well, and that's a big one for Thinfinity from our perspective. We can deploy this very quickly to achieve what we want. So two different approaches. From your point of view, it will make no difference at all, really, in terms of usability, in terms of deployment, but we can discuss that technically with you at all your infrastructure or technology teams as needed. But the point is, once we do this, they then become available on-premise, as you are now, but deployed through the web, or private hosted. So if you're running in one of our partner hosted environments, their cloud environment, you have your own hosting, we can deploy it in there and have web access from anywhere. And if you then move on to the Infor Cloud, which requires other things I'll talk about in a minute, but as a vendor cloud, we again have the web capability. So that's stage one of our roadmap. We need to do these things. Next stage is Infor Cloud. How do we support Infor Cloud? And this is really important. You know, everybody in the room uses Sun systems. Everybody may be moving into some sort of cloud environment and therefore needs the web interactivity. However, we need to be able to talk into the Infor vendor cloud from an external deployment. So we need to be able to have PA IPOS or PA B4B sitting somewhere in an environment. It needs to be either in your own environments or hosting or maybe even the PA cloud. And you need to be able to access it, and it needs to be able to talk to Infor in the Infor vendor cloud if you are moving your Sun systems in that way. And I'm not sort of implying that's where everybody will go. There will some who want to keep it locally, others will host it differently, some will move it into the vendor cloud. But we need to have all options covered. So to do that, we have a roadmap to achieve the way we talk to Infor in the cloud, and additionally how we manage our databases and the local installations and infrastructure that we need to achieve that. So that's the next step in our roadmap, PA Infor vendor cloud. So this is our timeline. And I'm going to apologise. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. Apologise because I won't be able to see you, because I can't read it otherwise. So this is our timeline for deploying some of this thing. Thank you. It won't be. So here what we have is starting sort of now, Q4 this year, moving forward, and what we've already done, moving forward to Q3, Q4 next year. So this is the process we have here. So what we've already done, and we've been busy at this in the last 18 months, is bringing in new functionality. First of all, we have Intelligent Invoice Capture, which is the new solution for taking supplier invoices via an email deposit, stripping the data from that invoice, contextualizing it, adding in information we need, supplier coding, other bits of information, and passing it automatically back into IPOS, wherever that's deployed, for you to then just validate and move on. So it's automation of that process. It's using AI. I'll be talking about it later. Very powerful solution. We've introduced AP invoice verification into IPOS. So this is new functionality linked to our Intelligent Invoice Capture so that you can see an invoice that's come through visually on the screen. You can see the document. You can see the fields that are extracted from the invoice using the AI, and then you can update anything that needs to be done. So that's new within IPOS itself. And then we've been working on existing solutions to improve them and work towards our two-step goal, towards full cloud capability. So B4B is already available against an Infor standalone cloud, we wanted to, or it could be available as a feed from other systems. So say if you have a payroll system that isn't Sun systems, and you want to be able to pass payments through from that as well, we have the ability to absorb that and work with it. So this is part of the structures underlying that we need to produce in order to move fully to the cloud, and that's available for anyone who may be interested. And you'll see that in Oliver's session later this morning. And we've been working on the Thinfinity deployments for things like advanced inquiry. So slow work in the background towards that. Q4, leading up to Christmas, it's very, very sort of positive time for this timeline in terms of releasing existing functionality into native browser. So if anyone's waiting for bank reconciliation, it's available now. It's just been released. So full web browser for bank reconciliation. But moving forward up to Christmas, we have B4B, fully web browser, all the administration tool functions in there, ability to do anything you need to do in B4B in the web. We have PAMTD coming forward, so anyone using PAMTD or anyone who has a need for that, we will have a web version by Christmas, which will be great. And then we'll have the web deploy through Thinfinity versions of Advanced Inquiry, Collect, Contract Service Billing, and IPOS Admin. So all of these things will be deployed into the web by Christmas. And that offers an opportunity for a simple upgrade to achieve web capability on your existing versions, if you wanted to go that way. Moving from there, we then do have some timing that we're trying to work alongside the Infor cloud, for anyone looking to go into that vendor cloud. Now, I apologise to Tim from Infor. I forgot to mention Tim if anyone would like to talk to Infor. Tim is good representation here at the back. Sorry, Tim, would you like to just introduce yourself very briefly?
I think you just said me. I'm Tim Truesdale. I'm the product management director for Sun Systems.
Cool. So if anyone has any Infor questions, Tim, sorry, Tim. Thank you for coming. I apologise for any timeline differences here. This is my best understanding around Infor's sort of timeline for standalone cloud and multi-tenant cloud, but they may vary. As same disclaimer applies. So we're looking to try and release for Q1 next year our existing modules to be fully compliant with standalone single-tenant Infor Cloud, or indeed any hosted cloud for Infor Sun Systems in Q1. And this will be for B4B, for bank reconciliation, for IPOS and PAMTD. So if you're looking at a standalone single-tenant type scenario for Infor Cloud, we could deploy our products in that way, and it will be using the required ION connectivity to pass data in between PA modules and the Infor modules. And our goal, we're absolutely passionate about achieving the same functionality that you have. So we're looking to make sure that that continues no matter which deployment methodology you're using for Infor Sun Systems. So by Q1 2022, we'll have full web capability for all of our modules that we're moving forward, and we'll also have capability to talk through ION, be it you're hosting of Sun Systems somewhere locally or wherever, or in the vendor cloud single tenant, which is great news for some people moving forward. And it's great news for us in terms of being able to work with any infrastructure. So going back to my earlier points, we need to be flexible, we need to be scalable, we need to allow you to be able to lever cloud capability, different hosting environments, remote access from wherever, and we're looking to achieve that, and that's where we're going in Q1. We then have Q1, Q2 moving out into next year, which may sort of fit somewhere around multi-tenant releasing for Infor Cloud. We have Infor Cloud capability for advanced inquiry, collect and contract and service billing, so they'll be coming online soon after that. And then moving out to later next year, we have the new module we're planning around IPOS, which will be Ivos inventory control. So some of you using IPOS may have small inventory requirements, which are currently not catered for within the IPOS core. We are looking to bring in an inventory module into IPOS, and moving forward, there will obviously be new and extra functionality that we're looking to add as well. And then underlying all this, we also have IPOS 20, which is a new user interface, new capabilities, new flexibility that we would like to talk about. So in summary, we have new modules coming in now. So I think it's easier to see it on here. I may not need my glasses anymore. Intelligent invoice captures out, AP verification and B4B single tenant. We then have Q4, webification of some products, Thinfinity. Then Q1, Q2, moving on next year, we have the cloud capability. So we will be publishing this deck for anyone who wants to look at it. Some of you may have already seen this roadmap in an earlier version in a customer presentation that we've done or a partner presentation. So this will be available, and there will be videos of this presentation as well. And then next year, moving on with new functionality, IPOS inventory, and then adding extra things such as new widgets into our dashboarding, live visibility capability in IPOS, the ability to enhance that yourself, and any new capabilities that we need. So that's the summary. And then what's next? Where do we go from there? And I think for us, it's continuing to provide high quality, very functional solutions in and around Infor, Sun Systems, opening the flexibility for further integrations across other systems, the ability to automate, bringing in further process enhancements, and looking then to yourselves as to where we want to go and where we can benefit you in providing new functionality. So, quick questions. Any questions on that roadmap? Probably are. We do have hand mics as well if anyone wants to ask. something like that. And any questions on new functionality. So please do feel free to ask any questions. And I'll just move back to the roadmap for a second to help with any questions there.
Just in general, are you improving your reporting capabilities? Because I haven't seen that anywhere.
So is this in relation to a specific module or just in general? IPOS, okay. So we are certainly looking at that, and it very much is part of this live data visibility type scenario. Within IPOS 20 and 21, which is the new releases come out now, we have now a complete dashboarding package which allows for immediate visibility and drill down into data and historical reporting. We're adding more widgets to that so that you can actually, as a user, choose which widgets and which bits you wish to use and where you wish to place them on the screen. And you'll see some of that in the IPOS presentation later. We're also looking to expand the base reporting set, so more base reports available as well. So it sort of depends on what type of reporting you're looking for, but certainly there are massive improvements in visibility within IPOS. And we're also looking to provide better extraction capability, which have you seen IPOS Excel as a function? So IPOS Excel is an add-in into Excel that allows you to both upload transactions into IPOS, but also extract data into IPOS. A bit like Q&A, and it used to be that Q&A had a vision, vision, that proves how long I've been doing it, Q&A set up for IPOS. That no longer in the newer versions of Q&A will be supported, so IPOS Excel is actually moving to replace that functionality, bringing data out in it. Does anyone here actually use Q&A for IPOS with the IPOS setup? Okay. So that's actually an important element in terms of there is a move that we can help you with in moving that functionality into IPOS Excel to replace that Q&A functionality when you upgrade potentially to new versions of Q&A. So that's something we can discuss with you, but it's all there, same functionality. So I think the answer is absolutely yes, and that goes across all of our systems. We're looking to, with the web deployments, bring in new capabilities, new dashboarding capabilities and new reporting capabilities, because we need to have visibility, we need to give immediacy, and then we also want to start using things like PA streams to listen to our products, listen to other solutions you may have, to provide recommendations, to provide immediate event monitored triggers for alerting and things like this. So that's very much our goal. Anyone else? Yeah. Does anyone put anything in the? Nope. Any future functionality? Is there anything anyone would like to see in our solutions? Yep.
Sorry, yeah, it's working. I just wonder whether there's any functionality around other reconciliations, supplier, sort of tenant, or balance sheet substantiations that can apply into any of the solutions that you've got?
So we're not talking bank reconciliation, we're talking about the ability to reconcile receipts and invoices and all that sort of thing. So we don't, obviously in Collect, we do have some functionality around allocation, but not automation of allocations. But certainly we've been working with one customer using our PA Streams capability to try and understand where things could be triggered and actually doing more reconciliation and automation in that sense. There's no direct plan at the moment to produce a solution that is focused on that, but obviously we were looking where we go in the next year or so, and potentially that's an area that's come up a number of times. We've had a few people looking for that sort of thing, so it may well be on the cards. And I think our plan could be to lever PA Streams, to lever AI, because if you use AI, you can actually come to better situations quicker. It can learn from what it sees. Once you've done a few allocations, it can start to say this data represents a better match. So there's lots of potential there lots of potential there that wasn't there before, to lever new technologies to improve on that and give you a smarter outcome. So I think that's very much a goal, and that's an idea that we do have sort of on a list of potentials, but not defined as yet. So good idea. Anyone else?
Is there any plan for integration with Microsoft Azure in terms of areas like product access and single sign-on?
So certainly for us, moving into cloud deployments, we envisage people could be moving either into sort of remotely accessed infrastructure or moving data into Azure and all of their systems potentially into their own hosted Azure or individual Azure servers. So for us, that's something we can already do. If you were to look to move anything that way, we can deploy into that environment. We have single sign-on capability and things like that within Azure. And for PA Cloud, which is something we are looking at for the coming year, the ability to deploy into our own framework and move towards subscription-based models for all of these solutions, we would potentially be looking at Azure-type scenarios to be defined totally, but we already have Azure deployments that we're doing. So yes, the answer would be yes. And I think that's something I should mention. For people moving into a cloud release of PA software, if you're looking to talk to the Info Vendor Cloud and you move to a PA cloud, which is something you could do potentially, you would be looking at a subscription model for licenses. It's part of sort of the way things are going in terms of moving it to a cash flow type scenario. And we have price models that are available, we can talk about that, that would allow you to translate your existing subscriptions and maintenance and perpetual licenses into a subscription license around that type of approach. But it's only if you're moving into the cloud. If you're staying on premise or hosted, you can stay exactly as you are with your licenses. So that's something we can talk about if needed. I think I'm running out of time, totally out of time. Totally out of time, apologies. But please do, if anyone has any questions about this roadmap, if anyone's got any ideas, please do have a chat with us, do coffee. We're now going to go to a coffee break, and then we'll move on to our B4B.
Sorry, just before everybody moves out, just to make a note, we've got Tim Truesdale from Info.
We've already...
Sorry, I missed that bit.
Okay, so thank you. Please do come and talk to me if you need to during coffee. And thank you very much for coming along today. I hope you enjoy the day.